Hey there, troopers. Welcome back to yet another interview here with a celebrity guest from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Nalini Krishan, who played Jedi Padawan Barra Sophie. How are you doing today?
I'm not too bad, are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Good.
We would like to ask you, how exactly did you land on the role of this iconic character in Star Wars?
Well, I wish I had a really interesting story, because interesting stories are sort of very exciting, but it's really not that interesting. Literally, my agent called me and said they want to see me, and I was fitted for this role. I had no idea what was going on, and I actually just literally landed the role. My master in the film, Mario Yaya, actually had to audition for her bit, but I actually didn't have to audition for a thing, so that's how I landed it, by pure luck.
Well, that's always good.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now look, you get action figures made, you get a bit.
People always want to hear like a really exciting
Pictures,
story, like I didn't
yeah.
have one, they just chose me.
That's good stuff. Now, were you ever asked to come back as Barris for Episode 3?
I was. Yes, I was, but unfortunately due to the fact that they ran out of time and they had so much they wanted to film, we didn't end up filming, and they just said they'd take footage from Episode 2 that they shot, but they never used it.
And even then, yeah.
In the final cut they didn't end up using it, so unfortunately I didn't make Episode 3, but I was always going to be scheduled to film, but they just ran out of time. If you look at the film itself, I mean there's so much to
There's so much to go now.
Yeah, and so unfortunately I didn't get to film anything.
At least you didn't meet your demise in the film.
Yeah, at least you don't actually see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do meet my demise, but like
Eventually.
But again, we could, someone could come up and write
Yeah.
a book or
Yeah.
spin-off movie.
Yeah.
Clone Wars, maybe?
TV series?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Now, are you familiar with your character being in the Clone Wars?
Yes. Yeah. There's always new action figures coming out, like Clone Wars. I just saw one the other day when I was at a show in El Paso, Texas, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one, and it was clearly a Clone Wars
Yeah, I have
action
that
figure.
one.
So, yeah, I haven't watched too many episodes of that, but I've watched a couple, but I am aware that it's in the Clone Wars.
Oh, good
Yeah.
stuff. Now, did you actually film certain scenes in Attack of the Clones that never made it into the final cut?
Oh yeah, the best scenes that I filmed never made it into the final cut. Like the fight scenes that we learnt with Nick Gillard, the stunt coordinator, fantastic stuff, like real fantastic stuff. Me and Illuminari, our characters are meant to be able to do tandem fighting. We're meant to fight in unison, back to back. We shot all these amazing scenes back to back in unison that we'd learnt, and then they didn't even put those in. So those
Maybe you guys were going to overshadow, the Dooku battle.
Maybe.
Maybe take out Django?
Yeah,
No.
maybe.
No. Now, would you like to somehow expand the character? Say if they were to offer you the role in maybe the live-action TV series that George plans to do or anything, would you actually be willing to reprise the role?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to, absolutely. Yeah.
And would you like to expand the character story? What would you like to maybe find out about her? What would you like to see that she can do? What would you like to explore the most about her?
I'd actually really like her abilities to be explored more than anything, because she's so diverse. I mean, she can heal people. She's a healer. She obviously can do tandem fighting. She's got quite a lot of ability, and I don't think that even from reading the books you can really gauge that. You need to see it.
Sure.
You need to see it. And because everyone thinks she's a Padawan, she's not a Jedi, she becomes a Jedi, but she's a Padawan, but she doesn't have these abilities, but she is actually very talented. And I just don't really believe that, in Revenge of the Sith she would have died the way she did, because she's far too intelligent and far too capable of keeping herself quite safe. So, but I'd like to see the action side of things, be explored, because that's obviously the fun part of the character, right? But yeah, that would be the main thing. But just obviously, like getting to know more about her history, and obviously her relationship with Illuminari is obviously a big thing, and I'd really like to see, obviously them sort of focusing on that as well. But her abilities, because then you'd see more action and more fight scenes and stuff like that, and that's the bit I like.
I would say, Dave Filoni, I see a real good Clone Wars episode developing out of this one.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, see, here's the thing though. We had 2 episodes in the Clone Wars in Season 2 where Barris actually had fight scenes and unfortunately got controlled by worms and became evil.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
I don't think I saw that particular episode, but Doesn't sound right to me.
She even attacked Ahsoka.
Yeah, I remember
Wow.
that.
And
But it was
the Clone Troopers.
temporary, remember? They
Oh,
did?
yes, it was
That's
So again, yeah, but
By
her
Yoda.
interaction with her master as she merges into becoming a full Jedi.
Correct.
You know, that'd be a real good one to see,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you can sort of see a little bit that, I think in the episodes after Landing Point Reign, again in season 2, you see that she has a certain amount of respect for Luminara. You can see that she definitely, has been trained to, have a certain amount of respect. Like Luminara has trained her to be completely calm. She's the complete opposite of Ahsoka, where Ahsoka has that little Anakin tone to her.
Sure.
See? Barriss has that Luminara
Yeah.
kind of, what's it called? Attitude inside where she's just completely calm.
Yeah.
She knows she can make it through one way or another, so that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I think that's very important to have as a Jedi. You want to have that. You want to have the calm before the storm. You want to be totally in control of knowing that you're going to come out, on the other side alive. So that's important.
And that's good for, day-to-day lives.
Sure.
That we always need to be calm and stuff, even if we're in like the worst of situations.
It's very hard to do, but
It is.
if you can get that, I think, yeah.
What about, as you're saying you're doing conventions, do you have any plans for Star Wars Celebration Europe?
Well, you know what? Celebrations has changed over time. It's gone from being a convention where you've got a lot of actors from Star Wars, from all 6 films, and it's sort of become a bit more sort of elite, and it's very focused on specific actors, and you'll only see not a handful, but you won't see as many as there used to be. And,
That's true.
Yeah, we did notice
yeah.
with
That's true.
6 compared to
C6.
5, there was
yeah, and it will probably
a little less.
continue being like that, where they'll get certain specific actors from. I've heard in the last celebration there was more actors from the first 3 than there was in the last 3. So whereas like the first celebration 1, 2, 3, 4 was heavily focused on the last 3
Prequel
episodes,
trilogy.
yeah.
Again, that could be
That's
to
true.
help, push the movies because we're doing the 3D releases,
Correct.
we want to
Yeah.
get everybody out. But you're in that, so we
Yeah,
can get
you
there
never know.
with it.
I'd love to be invited, but we'll see. I mean, it's too far ahead to
That's
know
true.
whether I'll be invited or not, but
We also, in Orlando, we're lucky enough that we've got Disney World here, and we have what we call Star Wars Weekends. Have you been approached by that? Or
I
are you interested
know
in
of
that?
the Star Wars weekends, but again, they're very difficult to get into, and I've got to speak to my agent about that. But I have not been invited to that yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll keep
I'd love
our
to
fingers
be.
crossed.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll make sure
Yeah,
you get invited one way or
Thank
another.
you.
And we also have another convention called MegaCon. Have you
Heard of that.
Yeah, Richard had made it earlier on this year, and we wanted to know if probably you can somehow get into
I
that.
would love to come. What time next year is this?
March 15th, 16th, and 17th.
I think I might already have a show in Kentucky. I may do. I'll have to check, but I'd love to come.
How many
because
shows are you doing a month? these
Well,
days?
you know what? The thing is, I haven't done shows for a very long time. I sort of stopped doing shows, and I might do 1 or 2 shows a year when I'm in the US, because I travel back and forth from Australia and US, and I'll be residing there next year. But I don't do a lot. But this year, for some reason, I think with the release of 3D, they sort of seem to be coming out from like anywhere and everywhere. So I've been doing a lot more shows. I think this year this is my 2nd show. I'm doing 1 more. I did, I think, 3 in July, and I did 1. So this is like my 7th show for this year.
Wow.
But that's a lot. Typically I don't do that.
It's also, we've had this explosion now where we've got more media, internet, TV shows. We've got, collector type shows now where it's popular to go to conventions and buy toys, and now everyone's getting back into it, so it's like everybody wants to go.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a higher demand nowadays, and I guess as the economy picks up,
Yeah, I was going to
so
say,
that
the
helps as
UFC, the economy would have had a huge impact over the last few years
Yeah.
of there being any real shows. But this year has been a big turnaround. And because I'll be living in the US, in LA next year, I'm hoping that more shows will come up because I'll be here and it'll just be easy because,
Easier to get
easy
to, sure.
San Diego Comic-Con.
I went there this year.
Did you?
Loved it.
Did you
I
go
went-
as a fan or as...
As an actor, yeah, I was
Okay.
signing there, and I loved it, and just met wonderful people and had a great experience, and I'm looking forward to Dragon Con next year if I can get into that. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I heard that's
That was
very
right
cool.
after Celebration, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Right
it seemed
after.
and then we got that double-edged sword because everything's stacked up on top of each other. It's, we're even fresh off of C6, it's like, okay.
MegaCon, Star Wars Weekend
Yeah,
Celebration.
everything
and
keeps
then
going.
MegaCon.
And
How did you find C6 this year?
Internet last year, right?
yeah, well, I knew, because I went to C5 and, they had
And
all
they
the
announced
mailing
it there.
lists, they announced it. and
Correct.
But it's we continually get stuff stacked on, and it's starting to go to, like you said, it explodes.
Yeah.
You gotta start pick and choose where you're gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
What you can
It's a
afford.
good problem to have.
It is, absolutely, it's great, and it goes based on who do you wanna meet, what do you wanna, what do you wanna
Right.
get, and, yeah, it's actually been a really good year for, meeting people at conventions, especially this year. Hopefully next year will be good
Hands
too.
down, hands down. And is there any projects that you're working on that you could probably share?
I am in pre-production for a film that's being shot in Australia, so it really is early stages, so I can't say anything at this
That's
stage, but it is a film that I'm shooting when I go back, so yeah, it's exciting.
That's good stuff. And have you even been offered the role of anything in Star Wars related? Like say something in the Clone Wars or something like that?
Not really, because Clone Wars, the only thing I'd be offered would obviously be the voiceovers, and I'm not based in LA or wherever in the US, so they obviously chose actors who were based here for the actual voice, so that was very separate. But no, I haven't, but I'd love to be, I'd love to audition or be invited back to do some other part, involving Barrisophie, because I think she's the coolest character I've played yet.
Talking about that, what do you think of your own vintage collection figure?
I'm so used to it now. The first time I actually knew an action figure was going to come out was when I went to Celebration 2. My Master Illuminari had a figure already, and I was like, she's got a figure, and this looks amazing. And then someone from Hasbro came over and said, I need to take a photo of you, so I had to do this stance of me, with a mouth open, like as if I'm about to swing my lightsaber, and then they came up with the first action figure, and it was amazing, and I'm like, wow. But it's really interesting because depending on which figure you look at, either the lightsaber is a different color or my eyes are a different color.
Yeah, lightsaber.
And it should be blue eyes, but sometimes it's brown eyes, and then it should be blue lightsaber, but sometimes it's green. And sometimes I come out with two different versions in the one style action figure, so it's really interesting to see. But I love it. I just love it. I mean, I don't know many people who have an action figure, so
Yeah, exactly.
We don't.
I'm sorted, so.
So is this figure, did they get it down to the T to you?
Yeah, she's got the blue eyes. I just the skin seems to be more green. Ooh, the skin seems to be more green, and it should be a bit more yellow.
Really?
Yeah, my skin's more yellow than it is.
How long did it take you to do the makeup and get ready for the scenes?
About 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it took a long time, and because it was all the diamonds were hand painted on my hands and on my face, so that took some time.
Wow.
Yeah, getting into the costume, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was long days,
Yeah, I can
long
imagine
days.
it.
Getting there at 5 a.m., sitting in a chair for 6 hours, getting on set literally straight away, and then doing another 14-hour shoot. And they were long days, they're long days, but that's a given, on any sort of film set.
And did you have the opportunity to actually maybe communicate with Samuel L. Jackson or any of those guys?
Yeah, I actually, because I was in the Jedi Council scene with him, he was literally right in front of me, and obviously when we weren't filming, we would chat quite a bit, and I got him to recite the scene that he did in, what was that Quentin Tarantino film he did?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah, I just love that, and I got him to recite that, and he was a really interesting guy. He was really down to earth and a lot of fun, and I met Jimmy Smits and Natalie Portman. I didn't get to see Hayden Christensen. I saw Ewan McGregor, but I didn't meet him officially. But they seemed to be, really nice. Samuel Jackson was great. So much fun.
Wow. Yeah.
We gotta meet him.
Yeah, you have to.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys have enjoyed. United we find.
The force is strong with sandtroopers.com. Indeed.